Welcome back to another exciting episode of Decentralized Application Development Crashcasts. I'm Sheila, and as always, I'm joined by my knowledgeable co-host, Victor. Before we dive in, I'd like to remind our listeners that if you're enjoying our content, please take a moment to rate our podcast on your listening platform. Your support means the world to us.
Thanks, Sheila. And hello to all our listeners out there. We're continuing our journey through Season 1, Chapter 1, Understanding Decentralization. Today we'll be exploring a fascinating subtopic, political decentralization.
That's right, Victor. But before we get into the details, I have a fun quiz question for our listeners. Here it is. Which country, known for its direct democracy and system of cantons, is often cited as a prime example of political decentralization?
Ooh, that's an intriguing question, Sheila. It definitely makes you think about how different countries structure their governments. I'm sure our listeners are racking their brains trying to come up with the answer. Let's break it down a bit without giving it away. We're looking for a country that's known for giving its citizens a strong voice in decision-making and has a unique system of regional governance. It's a great example that we'll definitely touch on later in our discussion.
Excellent point, Victor. Now, before we dive deeper, could you give us a basic definition of political decentralization? I want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Of course, Sheila, political decentralization refers to the distribution of power, authority, and decision-making responsibilities from the central government to lower levels of government, such as regional, provincial, or local authorities. It's about giving more autonomy to these lower levels and allowing citizens to have a greater say in the policies that affect their lives directly.
That's helpful, Victor. So if I understand correctly, it's like taking the power that's concentrated at the top and spreading it out to different levels of government. Is that right?
Exactly, Sheila. That's a great way to put it. To use an analogy, think of it like a family decision-making process. In a centralized system, the parents make all the decisions. But in a politically decentralized system, it's more like the parents, older siblings, and even younger children all have a say in family matters, depending on the issue at hand.
Oh, I like that analogy. It really helps visualize the concept. Now, how does political decentralization compare to the other types of decentralization we've discussed earlier?
Great question. While architectural decentralization deals with the physical distribution of systems, and logical decentralization focuses on how data and processes are distributed, political decentralization is all about how decision-making power is distributed within a governance structure. They're different aspects of decentralization, but they often complement each other in various systems.
I see. So, can you give us some real-world examples of political decentralization?
Certainly. The United States is a classic example with its federal system where power is distributed between the federal government and the states. Another great example is Spain, with its system of autonomous communities. And of course, there's the country from our quiz question, which we'll reveal later.
Those are interesting examples. What would you say are the main advantages of political decentralization?
There are several key advantages, Sheila. Firstly, it often leads to more responsive and efficient governance, as local authorities are better attuned to the needs of their communities. Secondly, it promotes diversity in policy making, allowing different regions to tailor policies to their specific circumstances. Lastly, it can enhance democratic participation by bringing decision-making closer to the people.
Those sound like significant benefits, but I imagine there must be challenges too, right?
Absolutely, Sheila. One major challenge is maintaining consistency across regions while allowing for local autonomy. There's also the risk of inequality between different regions if some are more resourceful than others. And coordinating between different levels of government can sometimes be complex and time-consuming.
Those are important points to consider. Now, I've heard the term federalism used in relation to political decentralization. How does that fit in?
Great observation, Sheila. Federalism is actually a form of political decentralization. It's a system where power is constitutionally divided between a central government and regional or state governments. The United States, Germany, and Australia are all examples of federal systems.
Thanks for clarifying that, Victor. Now, I'm curious about common misconceptions. Are there any that people often have about political decentralization?
Yes, there are a few. One common misconception is that political decentralization always leads to more democracy or better governance. While it can enhance democratic participation, the outcome depends on how it's implemented. Another misconception is that it's always more efficient. In reality, it can sometimes lead to duplication of efforts or conflicts between different levels of government.
Those are important points to keep in mind. As we wrap up, could you share some best practices or tips for implementing political decentralization effectively?
Certainly. Some key best practices include clearly defining the roles and responsibilities of each level of government, ensuring adequate resources are available at all levels, promoting transparency and accountability, and fostering a culture of collaboration between different levels of government.
Those are great tips, Victor. Now, I think it's time to reveal the answer to our quiz question. The country known for its direct democracy and system of cantons, often cited as a prime example of political decentralization, is Switzerland.
Excellent reveal, Sheila. Switzerland indeed has a unique system of political decentralization with its 26 cantons, each with a high degree of autonomy, and its tradition of direct democracy through frequent referendums.
To summarize our discussion today, political decentralization involves distributing decision-making power from central to lower levels of government. It can lead to more responsive governance and increased citizen participation, but also comes with challenges like maintaining consistency and coordinating between different levels. Examples include federal systems like the US and unique models like Switzerland's canton system.
That's a great summary, Sheila. I hope our listeners have gained a deeper understanding of political decentralization and its role in governance systems.
Thank you, Victor, and thank you to all our listeners for tuning in. Remember, if you enjoyed this episode, please visit crashcasts.com, join our Discord community, or support us on Patreon. Don't forget to subscribe and rate our podcast. Your support helps us continue creating valuable content. Until next time.